about the probate process. And what is this probate process that everyone's talking about? How can you get probate leads and how you can go about them and communicate with them? So as you can see, I already have wrote some notes here, so let's get straight to it. So everybody seems to get very confused about the probate process, and they just don't know what it is, and they think it's so confused and mumbo jumbo. So it's really not, and I'm gonna break it down right now for you guys. It's very simple. So let's get straight to it. What is the probate process? Right here I have a straight up definition. The probate is the legal process of settling the estate of someone who has passed away. Okay, let's read that one more time. Probate is the legal process of settling the real estate of someone who has passed away. So if a property owner dies and does not have a trust in place, a judge appoints an executor to handle the real estate. All this means is that if somebody passes away and their property does not have a trust in place, meaning they didn't give their property to their kids, they didn't write it off in their will that they're going to give it to their daughter, son, cousin, whatever. If they did not have that in place, then they clearly did not sign off to anyone having the property. Therefore, a judge has to step up and pick someone who will handle the real estate. This person is known as an executor. Now, down over here, I have a bunch of key terms. The trustee, petitioner, administrator. It's just say administrator. I don't know why it says minister. Administrator. I cannot spell, as y'all can see. Okay, so a trustee, a petitioner, administrator, and a personal representative, and an executor. These all mean the same thing. Just different counties use different terms for describing the person that has been picked by a judge. But just know that all of these mean the same thing. They're all the person that was picked by a judge to now handle the real estate because the property owner who deceased did not have a trust in place. Okay, so in my market we use executor. In your market they might say petitioner. In another market they might say administrator. However, keep in mind all of these are the same thing. These are the same exact thing, just a different fancy word. Okay, now with that being said, just for the purpose of this video, we're just gonna stick to calling that person the executor. Okay, so John passes away, right? He does not have a property. He does not have a trust in place. So his kids and anyone else did not get signed off on his will. So now a judge has to step up and appoint an executor to handle the real estate. This executor is going to have two options. They either can keep the property and make sure the creditors get paid and deal with the repairs and the mortgage, or they can sell the property and pay all of the creditors. So now that I really talked about the probate process, what the executor is, and the key terms, that all of these, don't get confused, mean the same exact thing. It's just different counties use different fancy words, but it's the same exact thing. Now, why are probate leads so good? Okay, why do I think that this is the best type of leads to be targeting? These are the best type of leads to be targeting because these executors are the exact people that you want to get in contact with. You want to make offers on these people. You want to give them offers because chances are they will take it. And you probably wonder, why would they take that? They have just been handed a free property. Well, there's honestly a lot of downside to being the executor. They have a lot of responsibilities. So we're going to go through this whole list right here, and I'm going to explain everyone in detail. So why are probate leads so good? Like I said, I think they're good because these people, these executors, are going to be motivated sellers. Most of the time, obviously not everything is 100%, but most of the time, these people are going to be very eager to sell. Okay, so most of the time they want to sell fast and need to cash out. You're going to be helping them out because they don't have money for repairs, do not have money to pay out of pocket for repairs. So you see, when someone has died of age, their property has probably aged with them, meaning they weren't up in the ladder and fixing the roof or fixing the windows or fixing the carpet or not fixing the bed and bathroom. They were not fixing anything because they were of age, and as you get older, you tend to do less. So the chances of the person actually doing repairs to the property, the person that passed away doing repairs, are very slim. So this property does need repairs, meaning that the executor is going to have to do some type of repairs if they want to keep the property because it's going to possibly be just falling apart. Okay, so that's a main reason why they would want to sell, because they don't have the money for these repairs. Okay, also, these executors that have been thrown the property on their lap, they don't have connections with real estate agents, and they have no connections in the area. So that just means that they're probably not going to go with an agent because they just don't know the area. They're not familiar with people. They just want to get, especially if they're out of state, this is going to be a real issue for them. They're not going to be able to connect with agents. It's just harder for them because they're not living in that state where that property is located, where the deceased person's property lays. So the executor is also less likely to rent out because they don't know the area. They don't know how they're going to collect rent if they're out of state. It's just going to be so much more harder for them. They probably, like I said, don't have connections, so they're not going to be going up. They're not going to be going and getting a property manager because they're not in the area. It's just too difficult for them. Okay? And if they want to rent out, they're going to still need to do repairs that they don't have money for because, like I said, people die randomly, and this was just a random situation and they did not prepare for this. Okay, so if they don't rent the property out and no one's there, it's going to be vacant. And if the property is vacant, chances are there's going to be squatters, people that just come in, don't have anywhere to go, the homeless, just going to stay there and squat up, and just not squat up, but like just stay there and have a mattress. It's just, they're just going to damage the property, and that's not going to look good. That's definitely not going to look good, and it's just not going to be a good thing. So also, one thing to mention, if you don't cut the grass, you will get a fine for the property, which is also not a big deal, but it kind of is at the same time, because you got to keep in mind that these executors now, they have to start, doing little maintenance on this, or they have to sell now because they just don't want this responsibility. So although this is not a big issue, it is a little bit that might be on their head, that they do need to cut the grass. They do need to do some type of maintenance, or else the state is going to come after them. So now, a good fact to know about these probate leads is that 80% of Americans do not have a trust in place. All this means is that since they don't have a trust in place, it's gonna go into the probate. A judge is gonna have to come over here and appoint an executor to handle the real estate. All that basically is telling us as if people keep dying, there's just gonna be probate leads. There's gonna be an endless amount of probate leads in this niche. Probate leads is very, very, it's very big, and it's not going to get saturated anytime soon. So don't think that you can't come after these probate leads because everyone else is, because you most definitely can. People are always dying. There's always new executors. There's always people that need, the executors who need to sell their property. So this is just letting you know that the opportunity to get these leads is massive, because a lot of people do not have a trust. So it's going to go to an executor who's going to have to decide like what they're going to do. Okay, I think I explained that a little bit rough, but you guys get the point. There's a lot of opportunities out there. Go for them, okay? Because most of them do not have a trust in place. So an executor will need an investor like you to help them out. Okay, another good tip to know is that 70% of these probate leads are owned free and clear. All that means is that they don't have a mortgage in place. So when you're making an offer on them, you can make it as discounted as possible, because they will still be able to get some money in their pocket because there's not a mortgage in place. Meaning that you can offer way below market value, and you will still get something, and they will still get something, and everybody will still be able to get paid. The creditors will be getting paid because there's no big lien like a mortgage in place. So that's also a very good plus. So as you can see, probate leads, these executors have to deal with a lot of issues, meaning they're most likely going to be motivated to sell that property at a discount. Also, it's owned free and clear most of the time, so you're going to be able to make a pretty good spread on any deal that you're able to close with an executor. Okay, so as you can see, these are very good reasons why they would want to sell, and you should definitely be targeting these people because you are going to be the best person to help them out, since you're an investor and you can close in 30 days, and this is exactly what they need. You can see there's so many issues. They're going to need to sell fast. They're going to want to. Don't get me wrong, some of them are going to want to keep the property, but in most cases, most of the time, they're going to want to get rid of it, and that's where you come into play, and you help them out, and you get a very nice spread. Now, probably asking yourself, how can you get these leads? This is just such a wonderful thing that you can do, and you can get really massive spreads. So in order to get these leads, you got to get the executor's information. Okay, how you got to get their information? How are you going to get in contact about the property if you don't have the information, right? So there's two methods. You can do the free method or the paid method. First, I'm going to tell you what both of them do, and then I'm going to tell you which one I think is the best option. So the county clerk's office is the free version. It's very free. You could just go in there. You have the right to obtain this information. You're going to go in there and get case files, and then you're going to go to the archive, and you're going to get the deceased property owner's information, the first name, last name, their address. You're going to get the executor's first and last name and their address. That way you can make sure that you have all the information. You can also see that the executor is out of state. But although this is free, it definitely takes about 2 hours to do. It's going to take you a while to build a list because you're doing it manually. So I highly recommend that you just go through a paid service, because as an entrepreneur, your time is very valuable, and you don't want to be spending 2 hours in the clerk's office every single month. It's just going to be kind of annoying. So you could do this if you're on a budget. I recommend you do this. Just go to the county clerk's office, get those leads, make a list. You got to do one individually, one by one. I am going to do a video more in depth about this, but one tip that I could give you right now is go after the leads that have all the information. Go after the leads that's not an attorney and it's not a nursing home. Like, there's not an address of an attorney, or the name of an attorney or the address of a nursing home. Make sure that all the information is full when you were going into the archive and trying to pull all the information of the case file. Make sure that all the information is full. Don't deal with probate leads that don't have all the information, because chances are it's just going to be harder for you, and the chance of you getting a deal from that is low. Although there is less competition, I just recommend that you stick with all the case files that have the most information. Okay, now the next service is a paid service. This one is called www.usprobateleads.com. Okay, what they do is they actually send someone in every county that's called a runner, and this runner is going to go to the county clerk office, and they're going to pull all the leads, the probate leads for you. That way they're going to do the same process that you do, except that you're going to get the list right away, and you don't have to even go anywhere. Okay, which is going to save you a lot of time. You can get the list in a minute, and you'll be ready to go and start your campaign or texting or whatever you're going to do. Okay, so this is the website right here, US Probate Leads. You can definitely check out their prices. They have Probate Plus. They've been around for a long time. And I can tell you that these guys are very good. I've had a lot of people recommend them, and these people have been in the business for a long time. So just go check them out. And yeah, although it's a little bit expensive, I definitely think it's worth it, because the spreads that you're going to get on these deals are going to be crazy. So it's not even going to matter what you're paying for these leads. All right, so with that being said, now that you know how to get the executor's information, right, you're going to go right over here. We're going to talk about how you can go about contacting the executor. Okay, so now you have the executor's information. How are you going to reach out to them? Okay, so there's two ways. You can either cold call the executor and let them know that you want to make an offer, or you can send them mail and expect them to call you back when they're ready. Oh, it's not. What have I done? Give me a second, guys. Let me just highlight this right over here. Okay, so if you're going to cold call them, you can either use a Google Voice number. That way you can make sure that the number is actually in the area of this property, of the prospect property, right? Or you can use CallRail. That way you can track, you can pick a number from that area, and you can always change your number. But make sure you're using a number in that area of the property. Do not use your own number. Also, if you want to be a little more advanced like I am, use a dialer. I use Call Tools, but you can definitely use any other, like Mojo, CallZen. Call Tools is like $117 a month. Mojo is $150, and then CallZen is $150. But if you're on a budget and you want a dialer, I recommend Call Tools. What the dialer does, it's simply you give them the list of probate leads, and they're going to call everyone without you having to individually dial the number as you would on your cell phone. Okay, so now the second method is mailing, right? You got 3 types of mailing. You can use postcards, paper, a regular piece of paper from Staples, as if you were just to print it out, and a yellow card. Okay, now just to make it clear, mailing is very experimental, meaning you kind of have to test, you have to put something out there in order for you to figure out what's working. Okay, so very experimental. Don't get discouraged if you send out your first batch and then you don't get any responses. You just have to play with it and figure out what works and what's not working. Okay, but this method definitely does work. You just have to don't give up, be determined, and Make sure you're consistently tracking what's working and what's not, okay? Now, you got to set yourself up for success. So at least try to send out 500 mailing pieces to these probate leads, okay? 500 pieces. That means that at least generally, it's like a rough estimate to kind of get you to see where it could get you. So these 500 mailing pieces, it's going to have at least 5 people interested. So it gives you a 50% chance of a deal, okay? Now, if you send out 1,000 mailing pieces, that's going to equal 1 deal. It's going to be 10 people that are interested, and it's definitely going to equal 1 deal. Like I said, these are very rough estimates. It may vary. You might be able to get 2 deals from 500, but most cases, it's not going to be like that, and you need to send out a good amount. I'm not saying send 10,000 mailings out, but 500 to 1,000 is very reasonable, and it'll definitely get the ball rolling. Okay, so now that we talked about how you can contact how do you go about contacting the executor? How do you speak to the executor, okay? So clearly you want to make an offer on the property, right? But what you got to keep in mind is you have to have a lot of patience with these people. A lot of patience. Don't rush them. Be at their own type of timing because they're dealing with a loss, okay? You have to keep in mind that these people are just dealing with someone who has recently passed away. Don't rush them. Don't talk slow, talk gentle. You got to care about these people. So that's what I mean by speak with kindness, okay? Also, make sure you're consistently following up with these people because, these people might not be ready, but then out of nowhere, they're ready in 2 weeks. So you have to follow up with these people. That way you don't miss the opportunity, okay? But yeah, have patience because they're dealing with a loss, and speak with kindness. Always follow up. Now, one of the biggest things that I highlighted here is don't act like a savvy investor. Do not act cocky. What I mean by that is don't act like you're this big time investor and you're just going to go there and save their life, okay? Don't act like that because chances are people like to work with people that they like. And if you're coming off as cocky, they're definitely not going to work with you no matter what you offer them, okay? That's what I mean down over here when I say care more about them than the property. This should apply to more than just probate leads. This should apply to every single person you speak with. You should care more about them and their situation and how you can help them than the property because that's going to help you get a long way, okay? I know these are very general, but this is like actually things that people don't do and you need to do. Okay, build rapport. Just build common ground with them. Ask them how their day's going. And like I said, care more about them than the property, okay? Remember, these people are dealing with someone that has just passed away and they need someone that's going to check up on them, follow up with them, speak with them with kindness, have a lot of patience with them, and care about them. Genuinely want to also not just make a profit, but make sure that this executor is taken care of, okay? Now, with that being said, we spoke about what the probate process is, key terms. Remember, these all mean the same exact thing. We spoke about why probate leads are good and all the issues that the executors have. We also spoke about how you can get in touch with how you can get these leads, how you can get the executor's information, the free and the paid version. We also spoke about how you can contact the executor by either cold calling or mailing. We also spoke about how you can speak with the executor. And yeah, that's pretty much everything for this video, guys. Stay tuned for other videos. I am going to make a video more in depth about mailing and the county clerk's office, okay? But thank you for watching.